Hello friends, this video on Adolescence Part 2 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Now the most interesting and important question is, what indicates the start of reproductive phase? How do we know that the reproductive phase is going to start? So first phase was juvenile phase, where there is no reproduction. So during the juvenile phase, as long as the juvenile phase continues, you are basically enjoying your childhood. Now, as soon as the reproductive phase starts, you are about to enter, or you are actually taking a step forward to adulthood. So some of the basic changes that would take place is sex organs would develop and mature, because these sex organs are the ones which are actively involved in the process of reproduction. So in our previous lesson, while I was talking about reproduction in animals, we have discussed about the male reproductive system, the female reproductive system. We have talked about the important organs, for example, testes in case of males and ovaries in case of females, which produce the male and female sex cells. So these are the various sex organs. So these organs start to develop when a person enters into the reproductive phase. Development of secondary sexual characters in male and female. So that was the primary thing, that is development of the primary organs which are directly involved in reproduction. Other than that, also there are certain changes which are external changes, which indicate that this person is entering into his or her reproductive phase. Now, those kind of characters which are visible externally, they are called secondary sexual characters. For example, so one such example would be the appearance of mustache in case of a male, or the appearance of beard, or the broadening of shoulders, or the change in voice. You would have seen that a boy who is very small, maybe some 5-6 years old, the way he speaks, and a boy who is some 16-17 years old, the way he speaks. So their voice changes as soon as they enter into the reproductive phase. The male voice becomes more hoarse. So that's how their voice also changes. So there are many other external things or external changes that take place, and they are called secondary sexual characters. Similarly, in case of females, there is an increase in height, breasts develop, menstrual cycle starts. So many changes take place in females also. Now we are going to talk about the secondary sexual characters in more detail. So just to tell you that how do we know that, okay, reproductive phase has started. So these are some of the things, or these are some of the changes which tell us that this person has entered into his adolescence. Now the question is, what is adolescence? We have been talking about adolescence since the first slide, and I have also told that, okay, it is something between childhood and adulthood. So let us try to see more clearly what it is. So it is basically the phase between childhood and adulthood. So midway between childhood and adulthood lies adolescence. So when the person is neither a child nor completely an adult. So the person is in midway of the two. So it is that transition phase between childhood and adulthood. Now we are going to talk about puberty in human beings. Now you might be wondering, what is this new term puberty? Now, when I talk about adolescence, as I said, it is that phase where a person is trying to enter into his adulthood. So it is the transition phase between childhood and adulthood. Now, during adolescence, during this period when a person is 11 to 19 years old, so during that time, a lot of changes take place in a person, whether he is a male or a female. So these changes are termed as puberty. Basically, puberty is often used as a synonym of adolescence, but puberty actually means the process of these changes which take place during adolescence. It is a period during which the reproductive tissues start maturing. Now, as I said, Before this, the person was in his childhood stage, which was the juvenile phase. So there, the reproductive tissues didn't get matured because the person was not capable of reproduction. But now the reproductive tissues start maturing, and that is how he is entering into the reproductive phase. So this entire process of changes is termed as puberty. And this period is called adolescence. For example, if you look at a girl who is maybe 7, 8 years old and a girl who is 13, 14 years old, you will see a lot of differences between the two. For example, a girl who is in her adolescence phase. So this girl is in her adolescent phase. So this girl will have her breasts developed, her height would have increased, she would have had hair on her armpits. So these are some of the changes which would have come. Appearance of pimples and acne on faces. So some of these changes. Similarly, in case of a guy also, you see these kind of changes. So this period is called adolescence. Now normally adolescence in boys starts around 11 years of age. So this period actually starts somewhere around 11 to 13 years age. So that is the start of adolescence, and it continues till 18 to 19 years of age. So this is the end of adolescence. So this is like the limit of adolescence, from between 11 to 19 years. Now if you look at the ages which come during this period, that is 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 and so on, that is why this is also termed as teens. That is why you would have heard people saying that okay, she is in her teens. That means she is in her adolescent period. So that is why it is called teens or teenagers. Right? Why? Because the ages which fall under this group, they all end with teen, 18, 16, 15, 13 and so on. So this is puberty. So now we will see what are the changes that are observed during puberty. Now as I mentioned before that one thing is the reproductive tissues will mature, but the changes which take place inside your body, for example inside the testes or inside the ovary, that is not visible from outside. But there are certain changes which are visible from outside. So here we are going to talk about those externally noticeable changes which are seen during puberty. So first we will talk about males. So one thing is sudden increase in height. So suddenly the height seems to increase a lot. Broader shoulders and wider chest. This is more common in males, where you see that he becomes more wide. The person, like before maybe he was very lean and thin, but now he has got broad shoulders and a wide chest. Thick hair growth under armpits and genital area. So we have spoken about the male reproductive system, right, where you have the penis and the testes and the scrotum. So I hope you are now familiar with all these terms. So near that area a lot of hair grows on the skin. Even under the armpits also there is thick hair growth. Acne and pimples appear in many of them. Now this is not common with everyone, but a lot of teenagers, both male and female, they complain of having a lot of pimples on their faces. So these pimples also happen because of certain changes which takes place inside your body. So we will talk about each of these points in more detail. Facial hair, like in case of males, the facial hair becomes so prominent. In fact, this is the time when appearance of mustache and beard also start. Change in voice. The voice becomes more hoarse as he enters into his teenage. Occasional penis enlargement. Now, we had learned in our previous lesson on reproduction that the penis is being muscular in nature. When it gets stimulated, it releases the sperms. So this stimulation of penis or the enlargement of penis happens, it doesn't happen since childhood. It starts happening only once the male enter into his reproductive phase. So these are some of the changes which take place in a male. Similarly, there are certain changes which are seen in a female. For example, again for females also there is sudden increase in height. Start of menstruation cycle. What is menstruation cycle? So there is a bleeding from the vagina which takes place every 28 days. So many of them refer to it as a monthly period, because every month you have this bleeding which lasts for some 4 to 5 days. So that is called menstruation cycle. Now why that happens, how that happens, we will discuss that later. Breast enlargement. So this is a very noticeable change in case of females. Hair growth under armpits and genital area. So this is again something which is common between male and female. Acne and pimples appear on many of them. So girls get really bothered when they are in their teenage due to so much of pimples on their face. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more educational videos with a better experience. Please do not forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for latest updates. Thank you once again.